What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to review Wonder Woman 1984. So I'm going to try to do maybe like the first half spoiler-free, second half spoilers. The movie, it's easier to watch this movie, I think, than most movies that have ever come out, right? Because obviously HBO Max, but there are people overseas that can't get to theaters that don't have HBO Max. There's people in the US and just everywhere else around the world that maybe celebrate Christmas that didn't see it yet. So I do want to, appeal to those people and say, all right, well, we'll talk about it spoiler-free in case you guys haven't seen it. Okay, the movie is quite something, and I wanted to talk about it just in a review because I'm going to be talking more about different aspects of it on the other channel, on my main channel, Podcast Now. So I wanted to say, all right, let's boil it down in this video. I will say that, oh man, it's tough. I like the movie, but I think it is such a mess. Such a mess. You know, again, you have people, and I've said this before on my main channel, you have people online that are saying that it's like the worst movie ever created, and you also have the critics early on saying it was the best movie ever made, and really neither of those are right. I think, let's go over the positives. The cast is amazing. Everybody does a phenomenal job. I'm not even a big fan of Kristen Wiig at all, okay? I think she was funny in SNL and stuff like that, but I mean, overall I think she's very hit or miss. She was great. She was absolutely great in this movie. Now, as her character kind of progressed, was she a good character? Not necessarily, but her performance was really good. Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot. I always say Gal Gadot. I know that's not really how you say her name, but what can you say about her, right? Absolutely phenomenal. She does such an amazing, amazing job. She didn't really need to prove anything to me, or I would say to anybody in this movie, but she nailed it yet again. I mean, she really, I don't know, she captures what I know everybody says that, right? So I don't want to spend too much time on it, but she's perfect as the role. Nothing really more you can say, right? She nails every single scene she's in. She nails it as Diana. She nails it as Wonder Woman. Fine. I actually really liked Chris Pine. Again, there was such a worry with bringing him back, and I'll talk about that more maybe in the spoiler section. There was such a worry about bringing him back, but again, he did phenomenal. Pedro Pascal, I think he does absolutely phenomenal. I really do like the idea of Maxwell Lord, again, in terms of execution, and that's the thing. So I would say visually the movie looks pretty darn good, minus some of the CGI battles, right, that they do in it, or the fight scenes. I would say it's a visually nice movie. The emotions in this movie are actually very, very good. When they need to hit you with the feels, they do it. I think Patty Jenkins probably nails that more than anything else, okay? When they need to deliver something, they absolutely deliver it. And honestly, what is a deliver, of these kind of things without the music? Hans Zimmer, Dear Jesus, he does such an amazing job. The music in this movie is absolutely amazing. I will give them all of that. So that's the issue. And by the way, final positive is the idea of this movie. You could say the message. I'll say the message, but I'll even go so far to say even the central plot line, the idea of what they were doing in this movie was really good. I will say that, okay? And the idea that I think critics ran with early on with just, it's a feel-good movie, it's got all the right stuff, this and that, okay? The negatives, though. This movie is one of the biggest messes and the more I think about it, and this is what kind of sucks, when I'm watching it, and it's different because I watched it at home. I watched it in front of a TV. Nobody in my household that was watching with me was really all that invested. So I was sometimes talking about it. I was trying to predict what was coming on, the rest of the movie, stuff like that. It's also a very long movie. Let's not forget how the runtime there. And as things were happening, I guess because I wasn't in a movie theater and stuff like that, I was able to say I don't understand what just happened. And I don't think I'm dumb. I don't think I truly didn't understand it. I think the issue with this movie is, again, the execution. It's a mess. And the more I think about the movie, and this is what pains me the most, the more I think about it, the more of a mess I think it is. The highlights still stand. The emotion still stands. The performances still stand. All that stuff is still there, okay? But the idea of what the movie was doing makes no sense, and a lot of the points that they needed to hit were so all over the place, where it just became, by the end of it, it was this is annoying that things have their own rules only at certain times. I mean, it was messed up. There's not really all that much more I can say without spoiling key aspects of the movie. So I will say movie is, again, performance, music, emotions, all that stuff, visually nice. I mean, they're all beautiful people, right? And I mean, it's a really nice film to watch in that way. Execution in terms of what they were doing, I would say is really, I would say, borderline terrible, but really, really bad. Let's get into the spoiler section. So we're going to go into in 3, 2, 1. All right, so the idea of this wishing stone, and I'm going to have a video, I think, tomorrow on my main channel talking about that in particular, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But when it comes to the weaknesses of the film, it's really the entire movie. Things just happen in this movie, okay? I would say as it kind of goes on, things continue to just happen. And the movie expects that they've laid a foundation enough for you to understand why these things are happening. But in reality, they don't. The stone is actually very confusing in what it actually can do. Sometimes rules can be broken with it. Sometimes rules can be followed with it. It makes zero sense. Zero sense. And again, like, things will just randomly start happening. And then, really, the last, I'd say, like, 40 minutes are a complete disaster, all right? Again, things are just, when he goes to the president and he starts saying, okay, I'm gonna have all these powers, and then he starts to touch people through particles, you know, through their TVs, and they start wishing, and the world literally, like, explodes. There's way too much going on, and I feel like they just said, okay, just everything happen now. Everything. I mean, you are you thinking of something? Just have it happen in the movie right now. Everything goes on, and that's it. And there's really no explanation for it. And they take it back, you know, when he says, you know, when he takes back basically his wish. But it's like, you know, missiles are disappearing because people are taking back their wishes, but like the world is still destroyed. So like certain things are still messed up. And the idea of the stone to like destroy it is everybody needs to give up what they wished for. You're telling me everybody on Earth, you know, took back their wish in that moment? 0%. What if somebody wasn't by a TV at that time? 0% chance. And yeah, people that wish for like others to die and stuff like that, maybe they would take back the wish. But what about bad people? I won't say like there's like a word that we associate with like people that want destruction of other, you know, territories and stuff. What about them? Like, you know, obviously they had to give something, but at the same, that's another issue too, right? Is the whole giving something when you're taking something. To some, it's like way more. To some, it's way less. Like Diana brings back Stephen Trevor, and she basically loses all of her powers. But like other characters, like if you wish for $1 million, what do you lose? Or is it only what Maxwell Lord tells you that you lose? But that doesn't make sense because the stone, Diana wished on the stone before it was in, you know, Maxwell. So like, how did it know what to take from her? Also, Diana didn't actually wish for anything. She didn't say anything verbally. So do you have to think it, or do you have to verbally say it? Because Maxwell Lord seemed to make it very, very clear that you needed to actually say it out loud what it is, and you need to be very, very specific, okay? And sometimes, by the way, the stone would work right away, and it would give you your wish immediately, and sometimes it would take a couple days to do it. Like with with Kristen Wiig, like with Barbara, seemingly took her 2 days to start to really develop powers, unless she knew she had them and she just didn't use them for those first 2 days. But it seemed like it took time. It brought back Stephen Trevor, but it seemed to take like a full day to do that. But like for Maxwell Lord, for like the oil, it happened within like 20 seconds. So like it really didn't, like, nothing made sense in this movie. That's just one example, and I'm going to talk about that in more details in the podcast now video. Another thing, two more things I think were big weaknesses. The CG, the fighting scenes, they really need to rethink how they're going to do this, especially if they make a third one, because it's very clear from 2017 to now, it's very clear now, they can't have her fight like a standalone enemy. It really doesn't work at all. Fighting Barbara, we'll call her, okay, in like the White House was fine. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I think they actually kind of handled that okay. Stephen Trevor, like him handling stuff was actually really, really fun because that was just more, I don't know, like low level martial arts stuff, right? That was okay. But like, and I would even say the convoy fight scene was actually really good too. Like they did that well. But like the mall, way too many cuts, and like, I don't know, like, you can tell she's, like, wired up because, like, she's landing so perfectly, and I get, like, she's Wonder Woman and stuff like that, but when she's, like, I don't know, there's, like, do you guys know what I mean? There's, like a slow kind of effect done to her to make her look like that. Same thing when she's, like, running, like, it just looks different. It looks weird. I would go so far to say like that in the negative. Also, her fight with Cheetah at the end was just, I mean, that was terrible. That was abysmal. I don't know what other words I could use for that. One, that armor was used for merchandise and nothing more. Don't worry about the armor. Don't even worry about the idea of bringing, Linda Carter and all that stuff in. Don't worry about that. Worry about the fact that they did this literally just to sell, those kind. I mean, I'm a sucker for it. I bought a Funko Pop with her in it. I also bought an ornament with her in that outfit. So I actually prefer her in her normal Wonder Woman look. Okay, I think she looks much better like that. But it's very clear they wanted to push it. But they did nothing. They fought. Cheetah destroyed her armor in like 20 seconds, and then she took it off. And then she fought, with like the main thing, and then, she had it on when she was talking to Maxwell, and that was it. And so, like, again, it was just for like a visual look, okay? But even like that fight scene is a good example. Like, come on. It was terrible. It was terrible. So, again, I think what worked so well in the first Wonder Woman, and they kind of did it in the beginning, like with the mall scene, like when she's like sliding on the floor and like tripping people. When she does that, when she breaks into like the watchtower or whatever in the first one, and she's like deflecting all the bullets, or when she's fighting everybody in the alleyway when they're trying to get to Steven in the beginning of Wonder Woman, like those condensed kind of moments with multiple enemies actually work pretty well. But when you start doing CG, like, I get that CG, but when you do like overly excessive CG, the movie falls apart. So it's tough because I think of like the good of this movie, and I was thinking about that as this movie was going on, and I was smiling and I was feeling so much emotion, like the big emotional moments of this movie, like giving up Steven again and all that stuff. Like, I mean, it almost makes you cry. It really, really does. It's so powerful. But then you think about all of the messed up stuff in this movie, and it's just really hard, I would say, to get behind it. Really, really difficult. Like, this is... I'll watch it again if there's like when and if the third one comes out. I'll watch 1 and 2, but like I don't see, and I guess granted I haven't watched even 2017's more than, I think I've watched it 4 times in all in 3.5 years that it's been out, but I don't see watching this movie more than one other time because it just, I don't think it's worth it. I think you're never gonna get those same emotions again. Okay, you're only gonna get that one time, the first time you see it, and then if you see it again, all you're gonna get is just the confusion, and the I would say like the bad parts will kind of shine brighter than those emotional moments because there's only a couple of them and you've already seen them. You know what I mean? So it's tough. It's really, really tough. Let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Did you see it? What'd you think about it? Spoiler free, whatever you guys want to talk about in the comments below. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And I do a brand new video on this channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.